No problem. I'm gonna check how many. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evenings. Hello, my name is Hideaki Ogawa from Ars Electronica Futurelab. Welcome to Ars Electronica Home Delivery. Again, you might know, so today we are together. I have a special guest, Christoph Kremer, who is the Managing Director of Ars Electronica Center. Today's special topic is There is no Planet B. But by the way, this lecture is public and really focusing on the artistic journalism, which is a collaboration public lecture with Keio University SFC, Japan. Before starting to go to the journey of this exhibition, I would like to give you a short description about the idea of artistic journalism. Artistic journalism is an act of creating a social dialogue through artistic expression, investigation, exploration, and action. Artistic journalism is characterized not by the transmission of objective facts through the written word, but by the creation of opportunities to experience the future as it is subjectively perceived through artistic expression. As you know, in today's age of overflowing the visual information such as text and images, what is a new way to listen carefully and think deeply and slowly about the facts and issues rather than simply consuming or reacting to information and news. So I believe that artistic journalism is a process of drawing a picture of the future through paying attention to the various creative questions that artists create precisely because we live in an unstable and unclear age. So this is a statement of this lecture, artistic journalism, and I hope you understand through also today's journey to this Planet B exhibition. So, by the way, today's lecture is consisted of two elements. First part is a guided tour with Christoph Kremer, and the second part is a special lecture together with Nicolas Nabu, who is a senior researcher of Ars Electronica Futurelab, and we are deepening the discussion of this urgent agenda. So, Christoph, please.
Yes. Yeah, hello here in the Ars Electronica Center in our new exhibition, There is no Planet B. It's about global warming and human responsibility. And when we started thinking about how can we create the exhibition that really touches our visitors, touches the public, again, of course, like it is the Ars Electronica core, we were sure to include artistic works, because all the facts, all the issues about the global warming and climate crisis was in the newspapers all around the world since 20, 30, 40 years. Scientists are warning about this will be a really serious threat for our global society. And so we decided not to double or third or something like this again and again all these facts. Of course, we have facts here to make this as a basic, but we want to reach our visitors on the emotional part by experience different things, different parts, what we think could be about this planet. There is no planet B, so we are focusing on our planet A, so we are focusing on our Earth. And now I want to show you some of our great installations we have combined here. Let's go to the first one. Yeah, we are living on planet A, and one of the really fundamental things in our life, in our planet, is Earth. Earth as a metaphor for all the things we need for a living, all the things what is important for us. And what we've got here is an artistic project. It's called the Museum of Edible Earth. So this group of artists are collecting edible earth from all parts of the world, and they are showing it in exhibitions like ours. And the idea is, and now we come to this emotional part, to this experience part, is not only to show, hey, this is edible earth, but, and now I ask Hide to take one of these wooden things here, and the idea is that you not only can take a look at it, oh, this is edible, that's interesting. No, you can now open this, get one part of this earth out of it. Sometimes it's a powder, sometimes it's more like a little rock.
What did you select?
I selected a Cambridge calc from England.
Okay, so I took a French green clay. So
okay, now let's taste it.
Nice morning session, right?
Nice morning session for us in Austria. Yeah. It's the breakfast.
Yeah, to me, fast food today.
And now, really, you can make it like a game. You can taste it like you're tasting wine or something like this. To say, okay, on the first taste, it's a little bit calky, and then get little more calky. What's your first taste? What you got in your mouth?
So it was quite different from the image. So it's much softer, but I feel the history.
You feel the history of this earth, and
by the way, not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And so this is all edible earth from all over the world, which really people eat for different reasons, cultural, religious, or health reasons. And normally, when I start this guided tour, I ask the visitors who are here, when was your last time when you eat earth?
Yeah, maybe accidentally,
Accidentally when you was a kid?
This kind of stuff, maybe.
And this is the first thing when you start going into this exhibition, you think back when you was a child and you were digging into something and you maybe were baking a sand cake or something like this. And yes, when you're older, you know that you cannot eat it. But when you're 2 or 3 years old, you take a little part of this sand cake and eat it. And so we are really going back into the history of visitors, into the childhood. And by, again, swallowing this edible earth, it's the fact that you're really swallowing it changes your attitude. You're not longer a visitor going through a guided tour of an exhibition. No, you are a living person who are getting really involved into all these things about the global warming. And by involving, this is what we can show, by the emotional targeting, you are much more willing to really think about what we have to change. Because this is what we all know, we have to change a lot to keep our planet A alive in the way we want to live here. But this we know since the 20, 30, 40 years, the changings are not that big. And we all know that when the temperature goes up 2 degrees, this will happen. When it's go up 3 degrees, this will happen. And when it even go up 4 degrees, this all will happen. And a lot of cities will be flooded and all these things. We know that. But why can we as a society, as a global society, cannot act as strict, like, for example, now in the pandemic crisis? But this is what I want to focus a little bit later.
And in addition, this project asks us, for all of you guys in front of this YouTube channel today, about your, soil in front of your place. Can you eat? How is your environment? I think this, question might be popping up. By the way, this artist Marshall, the group is actually also having the background of scientific, context. So, which means this project is totally, not just cultural art-driven things, but together with science and art, combinations. This project was realized for discussing our society and culture, right?
Yes, so, but we cannot only live from Earth alone.
Absolutely.
So let's step to our next installation.
By the way, today there's this is live on YouTube channel. If you have any questions and creative questions that you would like to discuss within this community, please post. Yeah.
Yes. So this looks like a little bit part of a James Bond movie, maybe. So this is an artistic work. It's called the Life Support System. So we cannot live from Earth alone. We need something else. And what we've got here, and this is really, I think it's such a great work. We have 1 square meter of barley, and this is growing here in the Ars Electronica Center since the beginning of September. So we have about a little bit more than 3 months of this barley to grow. And today will be the day where we will harvest this 1 square meter of barley. Yes, maybe Hide, we have here this sickle. Maybe you can start harvesting it. I don't think, have you ever harvested?
No, to be honest, no. And I'm
not
very...
not in this literal way.
I'm so proud to be a part of this.
You're the first one to harvest a little bit of this barley here.
Yeah.
Okay, please don't throw it away. We need every single of these small things here, which gives us, and we can make bread out of it, or we can brew a beer, or we can make a pizza out of it. So this is one of these really basic things for us as humans. When we started to settle down, we were starting to grow barley, we were growing wheat and all this stuff. So, and in here, of course, we can see this is completely artificial. So we have artificial light. We have the water bringing an artificial way into this 1 square meter of barley. We have artificial wind here. Hide, what do you think? Why do we need wind for growing the barley? This is an interesting question.
I don't know, sorry.
You don't know that. That's the thing. I didn't know it either.
Oh, yeah?
It was the same question what I was asking the artist, because, to be honest, why do we need wind? The thing is, if he was starting this without the wind, and when he was doing it without the wind, the straw didn't get strong enough to bring really up this barley.
Really?
It was knicking. And then he thought about, but why? And now he was on testing, and when putting it wind, it strengthens the straw, and so now it can really grow in this way. So as in a normal barley, of course, there is a little bit wind outside, and this is why the straw is getting stronger. And if you don't have this wind, the straw is not getting strong enough. Okay, now we have 1 square meter of this artificial grown barley. Now we have, of course, to think about, but for which cost? For which cost can we grow artificially 1 square meter of barley? And this is what we've got here as information of this life support cost per square meter per harvest. Why 1 square meter? Maybe this is a question that will come up. This is about the number of energy when you eat the barley you need as a human for 1 day. So 1 day, 1 person needs about 1 square meter of barley for the energy what we are needing. Okay, what is the way we do it when we have it in an artificial way? We have, of course, we need electricity for the light, for the wind, for the pumping of the water in it. We need the water. Water costs not that much, but it's €1 per square meter. We need the plantation. Of course, we have to seed the barley and plant it. The hardware here costs about €2,400, and it's calculated to be used for 5 years. We have, so the amortization per harvest is €118. We have something, of course, that is incalculable. It's all these negative externalities. And we have a total from more than €430 per square meter per harvest. And we have calculated, it's the first harvest for us, to be honest. So we are really looking, it's interesting for us, how many barley can we bring out of this square meter? The artist estimates about 6 to maybe 800 grams of barley. And this is then what the flour, what we can do out of it. I don't know what we really actually do. Maybe we sell it as a small portion of artificial grown barley, or we are brewing the most expensive beer in the world or something like this. And so we have here really the possibilities to talk about what our planet A provides for us. It provides the possibility to not use artificial power to harvest and to grow things. Everything is given to us. Everything is here when we use it in a proper way. And so we have the first harvest here with the barley, but this is, I think for everyone it's clear that this cannot be the solution, that we then we make, okay, it's not working anymore, it's too hot, or it's too dry, the barley is not growing anymore, so we make it artificially. So it's really great to show, okay, this won't be the thing what helps us out of the hole what we dug on ourselves. Maybe.
Yeah. Can I add one thing?
Please,
maybe. So, by the way, this project was done by the Innovation Org, which is a collective focusing on contemporary art research and hacking. To me, the really great point about this initiative was to create a language between, artistic concept to citizens, but not only for citizens, but for also, economy as well. Because normally, in this, economic society, in a way, people are judging, evaluating everything by numbers and economic impact. But have you ever thought how much does it cost to keep our just normal as it is, as nature? It's not for free. We are getting the benefit for free, but in a way, Earth planet, so it doesn't get any benefit, honestly. So how can we address the importance of, in a way, not just a human-centric design, but what about planet-centered design? So this kind of idea can be also coined through this new creation of language, don't you think?
Yes, you're completely right, and this is what we really witnessed when we are watching, when we are talking to our visitors, because now it's much more clear to see, okay, how or why we should change the way how we are living on this earth, because we are passing by fields of barley or fields of wheat, and everything is clear for us. Okay, that's growing there, but to ask the question, what will happen if it's not growing? Because we really made big changes in the climate of our Earth. Or it's not longer growing in this number what we need. So we can discuss it here. But to be honest, that's not the solution. We know that it's not the solution. It helps us to find the correct questions.
Yes.
So this is a little bit artistic journalism. What are the questions to be really found out, and maybe we can answer it by a technology.
Let's go to the next.
Yeah, this is of course something what we hear often, okay, technology will help us. Maybe technology can solve problems for us. This is the wish of humankind since 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 150 years, that by the use of technology we can solve problems. Here we got the artistic work called Asunder, and the idea is, we see it a little bit in the background, we see there are images from satellites, and these different images, they are put into artificial intelligence. So what we've here got is a really great computer, and there is an artificial intelligence which was trained to analyze the images of the satellite, also the satellite images, and then to find out maybe solutions how the problems that were analyzed can be solved by some advices this artificial intelligence provides for us. So we can really see that there are the case data, we see the displaying mode. Here we see the Athabasca oil sands in Canada.
Then the idea itself is what if there is an environmental manager, but not the humans? What if AI can be the environmental manager to suggest the revitalization and renovation of the place? Then look, this is a subject case, and from now the process is going to be, right?
Yes. Now we see the process. We see the case name is the Arctic. We see the image from the Arctic. We see all the informations, what we need. Where's the population, density, average temperature, annual rainfall, endangered species count, 41 in the Arctic. Okay, and then the artificial intelligence is generating modification options. And by modification and by bringing out new patterns, the idea is then to find one solution or more solutions to change the threats we see here. And let's take a look what is the outcome of this in the Arctic. It takes, okay, the recommendation from this artificial intelligence is quite easy. Re-icing. Why don't we do this, Hide?
Of course, global warming.
Yes, and so I think this is the great red line. What we can really put here together is the suggestion from the artificial intelligence is re-icing. But we know this, we don't need the artificial intelligence for us because it's so clear to say, okay, of course, we can solve all these problems by re-icing the Arctic. But how can we re-ice? And now we have this is what we want to figure out with our visitors together. Yes, the artificial intelligence gives us advice, but the way to make this real, this is again our human effort we have to put in. And re-icing is such an easy thing, but we don't need a computer this big, and we don't need the system so complicated to have the solution. But maybe, and this is now the interesting thing, is maybe when it comes out of artificial intelligence, maybe then we humans say, okay, when the computer says we have to re-ice, then let's re-ice.
Mm-hmm. But that is a very tricky, interesting point of human history, because humans are very political, and therefore, such kind of deep issues were never solved. The idea by using this AI system is, in a way, very pragmatic, suggestion to our Earth. Sometimes, okay, icing or move the forest to be another side, very like a puzzling stuff. But politically, it's not possible. But what if this can be a trigger to discuss the solution to keep our Earth? This is one way to to think deeply about deep issues, because of humans are conflicting to this fundamental notion to be coexisting with the Earth also.
So here was the recommendation for Berlin was there should be a tropical forest. Sounds quite logical, of course. If there's a tropical forest, all the problems are solved. But the first thing is, do we want a tropical forest in Berlin? Can we achieve it? And where are we? Where are we as a society? And of course, this is all the things that artificial intelligence takes not in count. And of course, technology or artificial intelligence cannot solve our problems. This would be a little bit too easy. So we have to change the way we live, and we have to think about in which direction we want to change it. There will be a great new installation in the deep space, starting in January. There we call it Welcome to Planet B. So we have here really the twin then. There is no Planet B here in the real space, and we have the Planet B, Welcome to Planet B in the deep space, where we have been in the second lecture. And there we can think about how we have to decide and what solutions we find to really bring into that this planet A, keep the planet A.
Yeah. By the way, let's go next. And
what is
I'm
our
gonna
time?
explain a little bit. This project was done by Tega Brain, Julian Oliver, and next Lenz, if my pronounce is correct. They are very unique collective. One person is from environmental engineering and data science, but Julian Oliver, for example, is very dedicated to critical engineering. And also, another artist is really specialized for software, hardware design. So, but art was a language to drive such very unique project. Then final project is?
Final project, it's one of my favorite projects. Okay, most of them are my favorite, but this is a really great one. It's called Derotation. It's from Thomas Schwarz, and the nice thing today is that Thomas Schwarz is the guy who is holding the camera, so he is now capturing his own artwork in a way. And you see here a windmill, but it's not the windmill which is rotating, it's this tablet which is rotating. So this is it's really a great work for me because it changes, and this is what I think we have to do, it changes the point of view. And it changes the way, okay, we could think about the windmill, that not the windmill is rotating, but all the things around the windmill is rotating. So maybe we have to try to think from a complete different angle, to think about all the planet B stuff, we're talking about it. Maybe we have to think, okay, now all the things is changing, but what can we do in this change, and how can we maybe let the rotation of the Earth around the windmill, and not we are focusing on the windmill which is turning. So to find this new angle. And this is of course what we have to be done in the next weeks, months, years to solve a little bit about this. And so I really love the derotation work here. And I don't know how many time is left?
We have still time. So from my side, I have 2 points. Anyways, this project is very beautiful on the simplicity, as Christoph explained. But as me as an artist, also as you guys as creators, also you are, in a way, you needed to think about our position, because we are using energies to watch out this content, and there are no other ways, to live, in the super ancient time style of, the lifestyle, right? So this case, this is kind of self-anch, in a way, antithesis, to ourselves. This work itself is driven by energy, but looking like a, stopped. So what does this mean? What does our creation mean? What the impact? So this is one thing. And the second point is looking at the policies, like New Deal, energy, new Green Deal, and also new kind of solar system and many things. It's always also connecting to very huge investment to utilize, tax to create the new, of course, infrastructure. But infrastructure is always very heavy industry. This was a traditional kind of model to activate industries, and then to, in a way, try to, renovate the condition. But the most important effective way is to change our mindset, because these collective, activities by people are most effective ways also to change our society. So I think this kind of, gap, to address what the actual policy, is now, can be also reviewed from this project, because this windmill is a representation of that. Yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't know how much time we have left.
I think we have 10 minutes.
Okay, that's perfect.
As a discussion, including discussion.
Maybe it's an interesting thing, of course, because we have now we have two big crises in our global society. The one is the global warming, and the second is the pandemic crisis. Yeah. And now the question often rises, why is it possible, as in the pandemic crisis, we make lockdowns, hard lockdowns for weeks, even for months. When you look to Australia, we are now in Austria in the 4th lockdown. Why isn't it possible to make this for the climate crisis? To solve the climate crisis, we make a lockdown, maybe in this lockdown we change all the things we have to change. Why is it not possible? And in my opinion, it is the way how the story is told. And in the beginning, I don't think, when the first cases came up in China, when you say to them, hey, Hide, you will be in the lockdown in 3 months in Japan or in 4 months in Austria, we say, no way, that's not possible. The economical system cannot carry a lockdown. Now we see it was possible. And I think there was the story was told not only about all these things, what happens to a society, there was one key thing, especially in Europe, it was the intense care units. And when the intense care units are full with corona persons, and though they are not available for the rest of the society, then it's a problem of all of us. So to bring a problem for only a few people into the whole field of a society leads to the possibility that the society, not all, but 85% are willing to say, okay, now a lockdown is the only possibility what we have to solve this. And in the climate crisis, maybe we need something like this ICUs as a story that we understand. It's all about our whole society. It's not only about the older people or something who has some diseases now. So maybe this is what we have to find, and this is what we're trying to hear. Which of these emotional targeting installations can bring us to the point? I don't say we should have a lockdown for the climate crisis, but there would be some steps before. But this, I'm sure, we have to do in the next years. Otherwise, we have 4 or 5 or 6 degrees warming, global warming, and then there will be much more things, and then we cannot step back, because this is the second. I think with comparison to the Corona crisis, making a lockdown helps us immediately, or immediately in terms of in 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah. But when there is 4 or 5 degrees global warming, we can make a lockdown for 10 years and it wouldn't help us. So maybe we find this way to tell a story in a new emotional way.
Absolutely. And concerning this exhibition, I think this exhibition is very successful to create the social awareness for ordinary visitors. But one question to you is about how this artistic journalism can be effective on also for policy making. This policy make is quite difficult and big gap. But maybe you can tell us how politicians, for example, visit to this exhibition, how they are feeling and getting as your impression. Do you have any kind of episodes regarding this kind of topic?
It's great. It was starting with the opening.
Yeah.
Even with the press conference before the opening, we had some politicians here, of course. And the first thing was, okay, now let's eat some earth. And this was changing not only the visitors, it was the politicians changing. Okay, they stepped to this installation we see in the beginning. They put some of the small earth out of it, swallowed it, and now they were inside the topic much more. Their target was to go to a press conference, get some nice images as they're politicians and they are aware of all these problems. Now we made them to part of these things, not only to someone who is standing besides, but who is inside the problem. And this is what we have witnessed, that every time when a politician came, it's first a little bit reserved. Okay, we know it's important to do something, but when you really get triggered by eating earth, and so this is the first great possibility to also trigger politicians, that they are also the part of all the society. Not they are only ruling the society in the term, but they are part of it, and they are part of the problem, and they are part of the solution.
Yeah, so I think Christoph mentioned very important thing, the experience, not understanding, experience is giving everyone the equal conditions regarding some issues. Because if you are just reading the text, you can understand, okay, I got it, but in your brain. But if you eat the soil, your taste is completely different levels of understanding through the text. Then so even the politicians and everyone can be equal situations to start to discuss, the issue. So I think this really, encouraging, us and the society, also politicians, to really understand physically, not just a brain, but physically.
It's doing it with your stomach. So we have now the thing what we have eat 20 minutes ago, it's now in our stomach and it's now working in us.
Yeah.
Maybe it helps us for something or it causes more problems, but we will find out.
Yeah.
And this is what we have to find out together, to think, okay, there is no planet B, but what is the way how we want to do it on planet A?
Yeah. Then another question, of course, not just policy and politics, education, I would go, because, not just changing our society by the policies, but also education is one of the key elements, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get to what's the, feedback from, teachers from local community? So, or, kids and the parents, because this discussion can be shared at home, in many levels.
So it has to be shared, and so it's a good thing is that there is a big awareness for this for this topic, and it's also really big in the schools. So this is for me the big hope. What I see is that especially our youth is really aware of this, and they come into this exhibition, and it happens the same thing at what we were talking about this. They all know the problems. They even know the numbers more precisely than me. Or maybe they all know, okay, with 2 degrees, this, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, this and this and this happens. They all know it. But the exhibition helps them to get also in their 10, 12, 40 years age to feel it more. And what we make in our normal education program is that we have about 45 minutes here in the exhibition, going in this thing, and then we are going to our citizen lab, and there we are discussing. We're discussing together with them what could be done on their level, school level, what can be done together with the parents, what can be done in our country, and then and what should be maybe done worldwide. And by bringing in these layers in the discussion, you're really fast to say, okay, it's possible to change it on your personal and in your family side. It's maybe sogar possible to change it in the next level, in the next layer, and when you change it there, you can reach a lot of different outcomes. And so it's really important that everyone, or at least 90%, 95% are aware what to do and that they can do it. So this to bring the power back to the people that they can change it, that they are not only passengers here on this planet A, but they are the drivers, and they can at least control a little bit.
So just one question, not a question, comment from the chat box was a dilemma about the predictions, because there are many predictions, but quite often, not quite often, but sometimes wrong, predictions are not working in these uncertain conditions. So what's gonna be the, way to, in a way, overcome or, the predictions, because forecast thinking might be a little bit not enough. So maybe this kind of backcasting, also, vision-driven might be one of the way to solve. What do you think about that?
I think the first thing is that you will always find someone who say, okay, the prediction you did was wrong because of that. For example, now in Austria, this year, 2021, will not be that warm as the last years. So of course, someone can say, no problem, that was only 2 or 3 years warmer, now it's again as the temperature is normal. So this is, I think, this is the thing with all this prediction. And when you search for something which says, okay, well, a prediction is wrong, you will find someone. You will find some expert who says, okay, everything is false and everything is a lie. And if you want to believe, then you will believe. And this is so the great problem what we have with all these things is that you should be in the mindset that you have, and I think there is no way to believe that we have to do something. If you don't want to believe it, you will find someone who says, don't worry, Hide, you don't have to do anything. Everything what you hear is a lie. And this is, of course, every prediction is not 100% correct.
Absolutely.
It cannot be.
Yeah.
Because, okay, maybe for the next 10 minutes or for the next day, but if you make a prediction for the next 10 years, there will be no prediction which is 100% correct. And if it's 90% correct, then you have 10% incorrect, you see? And this 10%, of course, all your opponents will say, hey, what you said, this 10% are completely wrong. And so this is, of course, the same as a weather forecast. You cannot make a weather forecast for the next 20 days. There will be some incorrect inside. And if you bring the discussion to the point where you discuss about the prediction, wrong or right, I think this is the big mistake. You have to say our predictions have this angle, and it can be in this or in this direction. We don't know, but of course we cannot say this will be the future.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this not just relying on the predictions, but how to be resilient. Resilient, to really act, not just trusting someone's prediction, but how to be creating the resilience of our society. Resilience means not just for disasters, right? In general, as humans, we are essentially resilient. But how to create a smart resilience? I think that's going to be maybe one of the way to solve the deep issues. So I think it's time. Always very quick. The first part is done. Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you, Hide. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Then so we have 10 minutes break to set up the table. Then so after, I would say, from 9:30 here, in 7 minutes, within 10 minutes, we are starting the second session to deepen these deep issues. So stay tuned. See you soon. So welcome back to the artistic journalism from Linz. And I hope you enjoyed the special guided tour together with Christoph Kremer. And the examples gave you the, in a way, nice examples of the artistic journalism. So from this time, I would like to invite Nicolas Nabou, who is a senior researcher of the Futurelab. So he's speaking about his research on this topic, and also we can deepen the point what we can take something.
Yeah. Hello everybody, and thank you Hide for the introduction. My name is Nicolas Nabou, and first I want to speak a little bit about what's behind me. You can see a very nice example of infographic. The Earth and climate system is explained in a very comprehensible way. As in this example, infographic use striking, engaging visuals language to communicate information quickly and clearly. But as you have seen before during your tour in the exhibition, There Is No Planet B, there are other forms of expression to tackle the complex issues. A certain form of art, which we call here artistic journalism, also help us to better understand the issues around us. It's more provocative, more ambiguous, more poetic at times. Artistic journalism questions us, challenges us, touches us, and above all, inform us. Let me shortly introduce myself. I studied the fine arts in Angers in France for many years and came to Austria at the beginning of the 2000s and started to work at Ars Electronica as graphic designer. Then in the Futurelab, I specialized myself on data visualization for many years. And lately, I have been working on the theme of happy collapse, where I try to define artistic proposal linking deep issues, invitation to engagements, to the common definition of possible futures. Happy collapse, artistic journalism in a time of crisis. Climate change leaves us only a few years to radically change our social models, practices, and belief to avoid the worst-case scenarios. The scarcity of resources, pollution, and the disappearance of biodiversity are phenomena that we must face and react as quickly as possible. The environmental emergency is intrinsically linked to the societal one. Hunger and the quest for resources have led to many conflicts. The fear of losing one's good, one's word, the incredible difficulty to understand such complex issues, and apparently irreducible mechanism pushes towards dangerous political tensions. It is our economic system, our lifestyles that are being called into questions. And even more, it is our image, our role in the Earth system that needs to be redefined. Derived from the Greek anthropos, or human being, and kentron, the center, the term anthropocentrism is a worldview that privileges the aim of improving human welfare over all other inspirations. The commonly held meaning of anthropocentrism is, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, regarding humankind as a central and most important element of existence. It leads to the fact that only humans are worthy of ethical consideration, seeing all the other things as free resource for the human development. One could ask if the term human chauvinism does not better describe this mindset today. A thought found historically as a positive evolution, the idea of humanism itself seems to be questioned today. It appears dangerous and unconscious for this very humanity to remain attached to this single vision. The question is not to get rid of humanism, of course. Humanism includes social altruism or social justice. It includes the idea of environmental justice too, fighting with the unequal exposure of different human groups to environmental risk and benefits. but it is not enough anymore. It is necessary to develop it further. It is necessary to update our vision of ourselves, to understand ourselves no longer as an ultimate pinnacle of a pyramid, but rather as a powerful link in an evolving natural network. I would like here to mention the European initiative Studiotopia. Studiotopia is a European initiative that seeks to activate the collaboration and interdisciplinary expertise required to face the ecological implication of Anthropocene. It consists of 8 European cultural institutions, and Ars Electronica is one of them. Studiotopia implements an inverse art and science residency model where scientists where scientists from diverse disciplines respond to an open call to work alongside and learn from leading European artists. The aim of the residency program is to create an experimental space where scientists and artists can exchange ideas, learn from each other, develop methods of collaboration to create speculative solutions for sustainable development. I would like to present you shortly the Slovenian artist Maja Smrekar, who was selected this year, and after the other artist, Kate Austin, who was also selected. This is a work from Maja Smrekar called Survival Kit for the Anthropocene Trailer. And now text coming from a website. Survival Kit for the Anthropocene Trailer is an installation designed as an openly disassembled mobile survival kit. Formally, it connects contemporary art with folklore. The drawers contain basic aids for the apocalypse, from the radioactivity indicator, iodine tablets, to protective mask. 2-tied wooden pitchfork with a removable wooden net is attached at the top and can serve as a shed or a fish net, a pitchfork, or a crossbow. The mobile survival kit serves as a paraphrase of disappearing cultures and local economies that dissolve in the pool of the modern capitalism, as well as a critique of ecology that as an ideology that solves climate change within global neoliberal frameworks, therefore within the existing capitalism paradigms. The latter are often portrayed as a natural phenomenon, which is primarily associated with nature through one stroke, the mechanism of the brutal survival of the most powerful one. Jonas Jørgensen was selected to collaborate with Maja Smrekar. Jørgensen is assistant professor at the Center of Soft Robotics at the Biorobotics section of the University of Southern Denmark. His current research spans the field of technical soft robotic research, human-robot interaction, robotic art practice, and media art history. And now I would like just to show you the other artist, Kate Austin. The Matter of the Soul is a musical and sono-sculptural work exploring human empathy with the process of dispersion in the Arctic. Musical composition includes sounds from instruments made from scientific equipment that measure chemical properties of water. Austin plays Arctic water, live using this instrument during performances. Austin's work stems from an urgent and constant drive to understand how we can live better and more justly with other entities, be they people, other species, or the entire planet. Art acts at the boundaries between what we think as the oneself and others. It redefines and enriches our relationship to the environment and society. The scientist Idre Slobaite, sorry for the name, it's difficult, Idre Slobaite, and Lawrence Gill were selected to collaborate with Kate Austin. Idre Slobaite He's a professor at the University of Helsinki, Finland. Her background is in machine learning with evolving data. In Helsinki, she leads a research group called Data Science and Evolution, which focuses on computational analysis of the changing world. Lores Gil is professor at Environmental at the Trinity College Dublin. His research interests involve studying the fate and transport of both air and waterborne pollutant in the natural and built environment, the development of passive treatment process, the eco-hydrology of wetland, and the characterization of karst hydrological catchments. In addition to this idea of rethinking human's place in nature, it is interesting to note a kind of movement in the opposite direction, with recent attempt to rethink nature's place in human society. We thus see a notion of ecological entities as a legal person appearing. A particularly revealing example comes from New Zealand, where in 2017, in deference to Maori representation of nature, Parliament recognized the personhood of the Wanganui River on the North Island. The British Empire had at least formally recognized certain rights and responsibility of stewardship or guardianship flowing from the Maori traditional beliefs and practices. Artistic journalism holds the potential to explore these new roles and versions of our humanity and reflect on our behavior and the impacts. This artistic practice could be described as investigative, meaning they are using journalistic strategies that strive to identify, understand, and communicate clearly. I would like here to introduce two artists, Anna Riedler from the UK and Caroline Sinders from the US, who pursue the artistic scientific research practice in the context of an artificial intelligence lab residency at the Ars Electronica Futurelab this year. Both have family ties in the deep south of the US and have begun working on a research project into that geographical area. As a part of that project, the two have created a special data set of bald cypress, a type of tree found at the Gulf Coast at the US. These trees are able to live for thousands of years, but at the present are threatened by climate change. Their crucial role in stopping coastal erosion in this area lies in question, more so, with a surge in hurricane happening this year. The artists have used this dataset to train, again, artificial intelligence, a neural network, to reflect on what these areas might be like in the future, with and without the trees. This GIF is generated with this model and is controlled by some of the weather data generated by the most recent hurricane in the area, the Hurricane Ida. What touched me particularly here is the delicacy, the poetry in this work. The fact that both artists have family roots in this place deeply enrich the meaning of this work. Art has this possibility to touch us beyond our simple reason. It is the strength of art to be able to express not only facts, but also to bring it them with emotions and feelings. It can take us into a reflection where the instrument that is our reason is completed, extended by an enrichment coming from non-palpable, almost fluid knowledge. In my research, I have come to the point that we should not stop at researching, sharing, and even denouncing the problems that are around us. Artistic journalism questions, investigates, and reflects on human behavior and values. Good. But couldn't it sketch out possible paths for change? Changes that are not only necessary, but also desired. Every crisis can be seen as time for change and new ideas. And the climate crisis is no exception. It brings with it the chance to reconfigure our relationship to the world and to redesign what actually brings us more happiness. Happiness is one of the key characteristics of a desirable life. Besides the satisfaction of basic needs, the question is, what are these elements that would lead to a happy life? Can art help us to lead a happy life or to find out how to be happy? I think art in its various forms can do both. Through methods like participation, activism, artistic experiences, playful, humoristic, witty art pieces, it can lead us to happiness. It can make us happy or at least content. It can also lead one to think about the conditions necessary to attain happiness as well. I am convinced that some form of art must take the role of catalyst. It is about sketching possible futures, about renewing our vision of humanity. And for that, it is necessary as well to show the functioning and dysfunction of reality, as to allow, to encourage the elaboration of desired possibilities. Let me take an example here that I co-created. The COVID-19 pandemic taught us about infection chains and represent a powerful example of how social collaboration and individual action can change the world for the better or the worst. Simple measurements such as social and physical distancing, quarantine or wearing a mask can have a huge impact on breaking the infection chain. With Deepening, this work, the consequences of such actions are visualized and gamified. The deep space, as an immersive environment at the Ars Electronica Center here in Linz, is an environment that provides a vast range of spatial visualization and interaction possibilities, and therefore lets visitors experience immersive visualization in real time and real scale. Our hope is to leave the visitors thinking, discussing, and taking action in the real world, since this kind of threat will most likely remain with us for a while. Deepening was one of the winners of Ars Electronica Futurelab's annual internal competition called Ideas Expedition, and the next expedition focus is exactly concerning the deep issues. Ars Electronica Futurelab, the Ars Electronica Laboratory for Innovation and Sustainable Change, pushes the boundaries of what is possible day after day, taking a joint step to the future. With tangible future visions and artistic exploration, it is calling up to social participation and responsible creativity. During the festival this year, the Futurelab organized the Futurelab Day Morning Inspiration. This is a picture that you see now, where students from all over the world could freely exchange on topics such as climate change, future migrations, and digitalization of our world. To sum it up in few points. First, it is a question of artistic position and methods to investigate ecological change. Second, it is about finding artistic forms to share and communicate the multiple facets of the problems. And third, it is about opening spaces for exchange and creative collaboration to transform possible future into desirable future. For example, it is likely that soon we will not be able to produce as much as we do now because of limits of resource and energy. The question is now if we still want to produce as much, or how a certain restraint could be also desirable. From first thinking about possible future to then transforming these opportunities into desirable ones. To encourage the involvement of the public, the artist has several weapons. Immersion, as shown in the example before in deep space, is definitely one of them. And infrastructure like deep space, but also to another extent, like the museum space, offers a wonderful opportunity of experimentation, knowledge sharing, and common elaboration on the future. I am personally very interested in the power of poetic narratives, especially when they are linked to humor. The provocation, the irony, the double meaning are for me triggers for reflection, of discourse about possibilities. The ambivalence resulting from humor is carrying creative force. And if a certain poetic beauty comes to crown the whole, then we have in front of us a space where we can shape our desired future with care, respect, and happiness.
Thank you, Nico. Yeah, great. It's very connected to the end of the first part because we discussed about, in a way, creative resilience, you know. But you also extended this creative resilience to be, you know, in a way, happy collapse by really considering the, you know, attitude of artists. And I felt this, you know, the factor of, you know, humor, for instance, is a key part that we needed to really understand, you know.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the point is, for example, when you think about the deep issue, and especially the climate crisis, you can see how first you cannot believe it, and then you are against. You are not, no, it's not possible, we have to fight, you are angry, and so on. And some people, some scientists said, we are more or less in front of such a big problems, following the 5 paths of grief. And the last one is acceptance. And it allows us to put humor, to insert humor. No, really. And it's kind of psychological needs. We, otherwise, we will just be stressed and have, I don't know, a psychological mental health problem with that. And humor is allow us to take a little bit of distance and to open new perspective, I guess. Because, as for example, the double meaning on irony is always giving a second way, which is not totally described, but still there. And for me, it's really important, especially in front of such stressful disaster or problems, to insert humor as a very human path to not to solve the problem, but at least to see some possible future. Yes.
But again, you know, to have the humor, having humor, so it's not always easy sometimes, you know, depending on the conditions and social circumstances. I would say humor is a very important cultural skills. And what do you think about the, in a way, most important elements to cultivate, you know, humor?
Good question.
Because you are very full of humor.
Yes, I mean, I guess it's okay. It's a very cultural point. I mean, but as far as I know, every culture has humor. So this is a central common point that we all have everywhere. It takes different forms. Of course, English humor is very famous to be very special. I really love it. Austrian humor has its special taste too, and I guess Japanese humor has its special taste too. Yes. And it seems even in very difficult moments, humor is a great help to overcome those moments. And even the source of humor is related to pain. One example is if someone wants to jump over a river and is falling in the river, you might laugh if he didn't hurt himself. And the reason you laugh is not because he's falling. The reason you laugh is because you imagine what he was thinking, how to realize this jump over the river, and he was not able to realize it. And this is making a kind of dissonance, which you find funny. And I guess every kind of crise, I mean, of course, if someone is dead, you don't want to laugh. But at a certain point, after accepting the death, you can even laugh about it. And it's not about just laughing. As I said, witty humor is more having a kind of spiritual sparkle and with a smile, and not just laughing.
But I think it's really such an important topic because in this limited condition, like for example, unfortunately here in Austria, we are in a so-called lockdown condition. Of course, whenever we meet each other, we can exchange such a point. But without any contact, physical contact, we don't have any spaces to express the humor in our daily lives. And how to, again, respect and cultivate the humor in our daily lives is, of course, connecting to culture. How acceptance and also tolerance and all things are connecting. And then what I realized is humor is a very human, humanity, part of humanity. If we are looking at the brain, today we had in a way third artificial brain, in the project of Asunder, meaning artificial intelligence. But we have three types of brains. One is an old brain, in a way, very wide, essential part. Then the new brain, is, I think, one element might be humor. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, for considering the brain, the neuroscience tell us now, for example, that the very old one, the oldest brain that we are sharing with any kind of animals is one of the problems that we have to act against climate crisis. It's a different reason, but one of the points is to say, well, this part of the brain is really one of the ones that is blocking us to act. And on the other side, the newer part, the more the language one and the cultural part for the brain, can help us to overcome this more ancient brain. And so there is it even goes in a kind of neuroscience.
Then, so just extending this point, how does humor communicate, confront with the artificial brain?
I mean, I guess there was already some tries, I guess, to make some joke, because at the beginning it was one of the stuff to say, oh, as long as the computer is not making any joke, it's not artificial intelligence. Yeah. It was one of the criteria as such. I guess it's already done. With all the learnings that they made in the language, artificial language, so to say, jokes were already coming from the machine. But something I forgot before to mention is, I guess humor is one of the way to give access of people to such problems. So it's not just to show new possibility, but to give access, because humor, everybody like it, so to say. I mean, everybody wants to smile.
Yeah. And by the way, the humor, of course, encourage us, humanity and humans, to act. But of course, humans are very selfish. So in tradition, there are many kind of design methods, like a human-centric design. This is in a way representations of that humans are centered. Yeah?
Yes.
But as I mentioned in the guided tour, we, as Ars Electronica, we are recently discussing a lot about also the new metaphor, in a way, called the planet-centered design.
Yes.
Because at the end, of course, it's for humans and for the planet. But connecting to the topic of human-centered design and planet-centered design, how do you think about the human-centered design in your feeling?
I just follow exactly what you say, and you can see it in many discussion now around the climate crisis. That one, and as I said in the talk before, one of the problems is really this anthropocentrism, human-centered design, and you can see in different artistic and philosophical work now how new ideas like symbiosis or a bigger symbiosis with nature, even technological one, is needed, and to shift the center of human to a more, as I said, to more network thinking, as a part, but not the main part, but like a normal part, a very powerful part. Of course, we are super powerful, but just a part linked into this complex system that the Earth is, inclusive all the other living animals and all other species. And this is really coming. This is something, I mean, we've seen in the Ars Electronica especially, many artists going and offering a path of thinking and vision in this direction. Many of them using, for example, mushrooms or micelles in biosense for creating new communication. And now science said, okay, trees are communicating, and this awareness is coming. Okay, nature is more than just objects that we can use for free, so to say.
But of course, you know, I definitely agree with you about the artistic exploration by artists, especially for creating new language to communicate with such, you know, nature, right? But concerning the decision, you know, about the actions, at the end, you know, we humans are again, you know, human.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Then my question is how humor can be confronted with augmented, in a way, intelligence, because augmented, you know, intelligence will give us, as Asunder, you know, showed us, very radical, you know, kind of suggestions. Yes. Then how can we accept this kind of, you know, aspect, or how to deal with this kind of, you know, technological, you know, solutions for dealing with the deep issues? Then what's the role of humanity and also humor for this point? Because very conflicting.
Yes, yes.
In a way.
Asunder is a good example.
Yeah.
It is at the same time, okay, you can take it super serious. This is what the machine thinks, and this is the best way, and it should be like this. Okay, we cannot accept to, or we are not able to make some ice on the Arctic now because it's like too big, but it would be for the machine the objective better solution. At the same time, for us as human, we see, oh, this is absolutely funny. I mean, if you see, oh, we have to put some ice in the Arctic, you get a smile. Or you should displace, I don't remember, displace a city to Vienna. It's like, what? So there is a kind of, yeah, you have to, you think, you find it funny, and then you start to think, okay, but why is it funny, and what would be the other solution that we have to find? At that point, it's just like opening a little bit the door, and I guess making the contact with such a equation simply easier. I don't know what would be a planetary humor, so to say. So not a human humor, but a more, a more kind of global humor. It's a really good question. I don't know how the Earth is smiling.
Yeah, because again, you know, connecting to the previous discussion about policy making, you know, for creating the international protocol and also governmental and, you know, public decisions, you know, of course, you know, we can really push, you know, some, you know, statement, you know, forced to change their thinking, but I think it's not always a way, right? So I think this, you know, humor is effective for stimulating the, you know, policy making as well. Because as you saw this windmill, for example, it's you know, the first moment the politicians might not realize the point. But, you know, the more you are spending time to discuss, the also, you know, quality of the policies and decisions are reviewed, you know, through this process.
Yeah, for me, it's a perfect example of kind of witty piece of art. So the first, you see this wheel that does not move, but the screen is moving instead, and you think, oh, okay, what a nice reverse of movement. But then, as you already explained, you start to think, oh, about the infrastructure, about the invest that you have to do in infrastructure now, and all the effort, and sometimes maybe the big big investments that we have to do about it. Concerning the political impact of humor, I don't know. I hope there is one, of course, and I don't know. I cannot really judge.
But I think it's quite interesting point because, like Copernicus, you know, found the new order, new thinking, and a new perspective. You know, changing, not, you know, from the you know, stars are moving, not Earth is the center or something like this. This was very important findings in also scientific history to understand our position. But as you said, for humanity-wise, it's very interesting time to also rethink about our position because it's not defined at all.
And as I shown before, for example, this example of the river, putting the river or a landscape as a personhood, as a legal person. I mean, this is something we knew. There are already some few examples. I guess, I don't remember, it's 4 or 7 examples already existing. I know that in France, for example, they were discussing for a very short few months about it, putting the Loire, which is one of the, maybe the last wide river in Europe, and to put some part of the Loire as a legal person, as a personhood. That means giving it some rights and that humanity has to take care about it. And this river, of course, cannot speak, so it would have some representative, some legal representative that would speak in its name. So stuff are changing, and because if you think now the nature as the human, so the inverse way, not the human as a part of the nature, but the nature as having human rights, so to say, or nature rights, is a very very strong and a very effective way of changing policy, for example, and changing the mindset of politicians, because then the big industry or the politician has, oh, okay, let's take care now.
Yeah. What do you think are, in a way, the new role of cultural institution like Ars Electronica? Of course, today you nicely presented the case projects. About how Futurelab can be working as a creative hub to catalyze such unique initiatives and projects. What do you think about the role of laboratory for deep issues?
Yes, I guess, I mean, I don't want to make too much publicity, but I guess really Ars Electronica is one of the most beautiful case and things that could happen, mixing this different part of research, public space as a museum, and the festival as a super input for the region and for the citizen and for the public. So you really have this mix of extremely strong message coming from the artist, some research as we are doing from the Futurelab, and then the possibility here to engage and to involve the public. And for example, there is a citizen lab in the museum where really some special format are developed to involve the participant in some discussion like about climate crisis or new definition of democracy and this kind of stuff. And I really think this is a key stuff for cultural institution to mix a little bit more, not just to show and to be a showroom, so to say, but really to involve more and more the public into discussion and to open some space for those discussions, and at the same time to involve some research institute. Futurelab is one, but they are working with other research institutes here in the museum to get some new knowledge and to have some fact-based knowledge too, because this is one of the part of artistic journalism. It is science-based, or fact-based, so to say, and it should stay like this. Other way, it's starting to lie, and trust is one of the points. Which, like journalism, we trust the artist.
Yeah, true, great. And for doing so, I think the independency, not just from government, but from also industries, but finding the neutral position from different thing might be important. And in this case, today there are many students studying in the university. I think university essentially, used to be such a place because studying universe, was a kind of concept. I think the university might be also the good place to be transformed in 21st century. What do you think?
Definitely, university still have, at least mostly, a kind of independence. And here you can really freely develop your way of thinking in a very critical manner too, and which is really wonderful, which is much difficult after when you are inside of a corporate company or something like that. What you say about independence is, about being independent is a very hot topic because we know that science or scientific research are sometimes yes, but sometimes not so independent of lobbyist work, so to say.
But again, you know, if art is a part of that, you know, art can be also a factor to, you know, show, to create the dialogue for the public. This process might be changing with, you know, this kind of background.
Yes, definitely. And art as this kind of critical thinking that it's most of the time contained is a kind of, can be a part of the guarantee to be not too much dependent of interest of big companies or even politics. Yes.
I think 20 years ago, you know, when there are many digital kind of IT boom was happened, there are many new universities to, you know, promote interdisciplinary approach and so on and so on. But looking at the current situation, you know, everyone made their own department, the courses under the, you know, process. But I think the new transformation about the interdisciplinary is maybe requesting such a force of art, because, you know, in that, you know, 25 years ago there was no art in the transformation. But as Nicholas pointed out today, for accelerating and creating openness and also catalyzing social discourses and speculating, having humor, what I thought was, you know, art can be one of the hints to be considered for creating transformation, for shifting our society for better directions. So I think, unfortunately, again, it's time. Thank you very much for attending to this lecture today. And actually today, you know, the third edition is a final public lecture. And if you are interested in the past public lectures, you can visit from the Ars Electronica YouTube channel, and you can find artistic journalism focusing on understanding AI, alchemist of the future, and this, there is no planet B. All are very comprehensive and latest topics that we needed to know, and also we needed to act. But hopefully you got the insights, and also you are encouraged from the wonderful guests like Nicholas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
Then so see you next time, and please continue to discuss from this inspiration today, and have a nice weekend, and see you.
Ciao.